Ladies and gentlemen, we acknowledge the presence of former President, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia. Your Excellency, you are warmly welcome to our humble abode. We will invite the family head, our neighbor Akwesi Abeye, to formally welcome you.
Your Excellency, on behalf of the family, let me take this opportunity to welcome you. Obviously, you can appreciate, given the environment, what has happened. And we are most grateful for your visit. Let me just take this opportunity to brief you about events of the past few days. Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was very well. On Wednesday, that is 2 days ago, she had attended the burial service of an old friend of hers. Later on, she became rather unwell yesterday morning, was admitted to hospital. The doctors did their best. Unfortunately, she passed. As protocol demands, His Excellency the President of the Republic, President John Dramani Mahama, was duly informed, and the state made a formal announcement of her demise. This morning, we received delegations, including the former head of state, His Excellency Nana Konadu, received honorable ministers, state, and other dignitaries, and we are particularly grateful to you for finding time, within the shortest possible time, to come and console with us. We thank you very much and welcome you. Thank you. Maybe she won't talk.
It's very difficult to say anything on a day like this. I have had the privilege and the opportunity to meet with Nana many times in my life, and I'm particularly grateful to have the opportunity to see myself almost like family, because I've had the opportunity to come to her in a family setting, to sit with them and talk with them. I'm particularly blessed that her daughter, the oldest one, is one of our major women leaders that we look to for the potential of her leadership in the future. To all the family members, may God give you all the strength. This is a particularly important woman in what she has stood for in her life, the events she has promoted in her life, the example she has set for women that are strong in their faith and strong in their commitment to God and to country. May God bless all of you and enable you to be strong enough to sustain this loss, and to her children to follow her path, to her daughters to walk the journey she walked. It's a journey of honor. It's a journey that we all are so thankful for. Thank you all for the privilege of being at this event to meet you and to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And we would like to, when the final arrangements are made for a final departure, we shall keep you informed. Thank you very much. I think invited to sign the book of condolences if you may. Thank you very much.
Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, stalwart and founding member of the National Democratic Congress. She played her part. She contributed immensely in the very formative and struggling years of the NDC as a party. I still recall coming to the home here with the late Justice Annan, supported by the husband, together with my colleagues who later formed the NDC Youth Forum, Inu Safuse and Sacrifice. And for me as Minister for Education, today in the world, we are celebrating what we call play-based learning pedagogies, where you use play to teach learners. By the fireside will remain an enduring legacy, and we will renew and improve it as a play-based pedagogy to encourage learners at that age to use play to learn in order to improve learning outcomes. And for whatever it is, Jerry John Rawlings will be remembered for transiting Ghana, or call it transition, from an authoritarian regime to a democratic regime. And that democracy have endured. I'm sure that somebody managed Jerry Rawlings' composure, calmed him, the personality that he was.
Has insisted I speak to you.
We will obviously give you the opportunity to everybody, but no doubt we appreciate the fact that you did not waste your time at all to come for the passport delegation.
My sister. And so in the next 5 minutes, when we're done, my camera will come in close and we'll take it.
No problem.
Right, thank you.
And what's your name?
Darrell Table.
Good afternoon to the family and Nana Konadu here. Inspector General of Police, Dr. Ashman is here with his management members to express the deepest condolences on behalf of the Ghana Police Service. Before I go ahead and say a few words on behalf, I would like to introduce the delegation that came with me. Starting from the Deputy Chief Staff Officer, Representative of Police, Mr. Alichu Amadou. Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Kujo Abuaje, is the Chief Staff Officer. Assistant Commissioner of Police, Mr. Solomon Colley, Executive Secretary to the IGP. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Raymond Adofem, the Director General Special Duties. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Kofi Blagoji, the Director General, Human Resource Directorate. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Cosmos Alan Anyan, the Director General in charge of Police for the National Protections Directorate. Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Dakon Ofe Lomoti, is the Director General Research and Planning. Commissioner of Police, Dr. Vance Garba, Director General in charge of Operations. Commissioner of Police, Dr. Agyeman-Rawlings, Director General in charge of Administration. Commissioner of Police, Dr. Ernest Owusu, Director General in charge of Services. I am Assistant Commissioner of Police Grace Ansa Aprofi, the Director of Public Affairs, and I'm delighted to introduce to you one more time the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Christian.
Try it.
Thank you very much. As family head mentioned, yes, yesterday, like all Ghanaians, the police service totally shocked with the sad passing of our mother. Our mother is a mother to us all, and to the Ghana Police Service, her work in diverse ways have impacted activities within the service. There are so many, but I would like to highlight work in women empowerment and gender equality. And also appointment of women to our management board.
Alert me when you are coming. Alert me when you are coming. You understand? Because nobody was speaking to me. You are ready for me. You understand? So if you alert me you are coming to me, then I'll get the cameras.
Today, the IDP is here to tell the family.
So when do you think you're going to be able to come? When do you imagine you'll be able to make it?
You are in our hearts and our prayers are with you. We wish the family condolences in these difficult times. The IDP would also want to note that as we prepare this national event and we know that security arrangements will be critical, he is ready with his team at any time to play any role as far as security and policing are concerned to support bringing out our mother properly. Thank you very much.
Yes, this is it. All right. Thank you, sir.
We are very grateful, particularly grateful for the offer of the representative security during the period ahead of us when we finally say farewell from our first year. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much once again. Yes, please. It was a penny at
man later. You got that's man. That's man.
I wish to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Dignitaries and Mrs. Parliament. I will kindly invite you to formally welcome them.
As part of the dignitaries who have arrived here this afternoon to commiserate with their family, we have some leading members of parliament, especially on the majority side. We have the MP for Ewutu Senya West, the Honorable Gabriela Tete Agbutui, and some other members of parliament. We earlier on had the Honorable Haruna Idrisu and James Agalga, who both signed the Book of Condolence. At this point, I am going to go and have a word with the Honorable Fritz Bafo, a one-time television personality. Television personality who, by all means, have come a very long way with the Rawlingses, and he'll be one of a few people who will be able to tell us so much about Mrs. Rawlings, who and what she represented, her place in Ghanaian politics, and whether or not her place can ever be usurped by any personality within Ghanaian political circles. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Honorable Fritz Bafo with us. And first of all, condolence to all of us, Honorable Bafo.
Thank you very much. It's a very, very sad time for me and my family and quite a few of my colleagues. I've known Nana since I was about 3 years old. Our parents actually were very good friends. And in the early 50s, we lived quite close to each other at the Ridge. Father was the general manager of UAC, and he later on became the managing director of the Ghana National Trading Corporation, which is now defunct, but which was a powerhouse trading house. And my dad was a very senior civil servant. He was a permanent secretary of the Ministry of Transport and Communications before he went on to become the Vice Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. My mother and Mrs. Rawlings' mother, Auntie Felicia, were very good friends. Very strong women, very powerful women. And I think that that's where Nana got her strong will and her ability to get things done.
Right. In a few words, what would you say her impact on the emancipation of the Ghanaian woman has been?
Colossal. She was, she opened a new chapter. Great women had come before her, but in her case, she opened a new chapter in terms of how women could contribute to society. I mean, I have to admit that women have always been the foundation and the pivot of our society. I'm very, very strong about that. But there were certain areas in which they had not ventured. And she took the women there and also helped erase some of the injustices against women inherent because men had taken over certain roles in society. She encouraged women into politics. She encouraged women to do things that they could do better. I mean, for instance, working women who were working in the markets, who were teaching, and who also had to be mothers. She enabled them to do so better because she was able to institute creches and kindergartens in the work areas. So the women could actually relax and do their work, and at the same time know that their children are being looked after. Then she also encouraged value-added vocations for our women. I had the privilege of producing and directing a film on the 31st Women's Movement in 2000. So I went around the whole of the country and I saw the work she'd done in terms of, in the north, women were spinning yarns, women were farming, women were doing animal husbandry, and then she also did that landmark legislation in which women could have access, the Interstate Act, which women could then not be willed out of their husband's property despite the fact that they'd worked and lived with men for a long time.
Right. Given how well you know our late mother, what will you say may have influenced her activism and her spirit to mobilizing women, especially also advocating for women?
It was very much in her DNA. She was the grandchild of an Ashanti queen mother, the queen mother of Ashanti. And so therefore, I mean, naturally, you know, queen mothers are very, very powerful, very influential. She had that. Her mother was a teacher, and in those days, teachers were trained to be holistic in their approach to education. Her mother was a very strict woman. Her father was a gentle soul, but he was a first-class businessman. And her grandfather was also a cocoa magnate. So she was brought up in an atmosphere of achievement. And her father was someone who actually worked on enabling his girls. He only had one son. So he enabled his girls to do all they could do. Anything a man can do, they could do better.
What would you say, or can her legacy be summed up in one story or in one statement?
Yes, I mean, I'd like to say that she worked very, very hard. She did not look back, and she wasn't afraid or scared of anybody in terms of when she believed something was right. So she followed the right path when it mattered, and that's going to be a legacy, because in hindsight, people are going to appreciate what she has done for Ghana in terms of her influence on womanhood in this country.
Thank you very much. It's been fantastic speaking to you, the Honorable Fritz Bafo, just sharing his thoughts and how well he has known the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, Mrs. the former First Lady, and by all accounts, the longest serving First Lady of the Fourth Republic. I have joined some few Queen Mothers who's been here all day with us, who by all means are supporting their family through these difficult times. And I'd want to find out what their views are, what in their view our late First Lady represented, and what her contribution to the Ghanaian woman's place in their view would be described as. Mini kai na mimusa we dia yabaye di mianka ni twi oni epoto no bepoto amaye mianka ni twi mini kai nyudin nana
ya fam nana masawa bunsu
ye mame a wada ni bunkum so a ye nti ene yesi nkonwa yi se wo ka ne ho asem a sen na ubesi aka no se wo ye hwan na na ogina ho e madan
mame ya me ka ne ho asem madam de wo ye obapo wona sebe wa kire sede maako aka ne esi bobosia ka ne ni maabo ne ni mbosia bo wa kire se ma sede ye besia ye bold ye nsuro ne de wose ye kan bia ye kan wa ma ye gina ye naso ama de woni ma adwuma ko ama ne sua adwuma maame de enya ne so da ye enya ne so
maame mensa mra ho nana fa che me se me si ni tiri ase aka maame wada ma umodi nkire yen ka
Efrem Nana Kobiwa Akwa.
Nana wadama ye maame a wada ne bunkum so yi se wo ka no a ehene na be fa free na ehene na de be kwa akosie
said the mmaa yie ene nkwara yie da na koma so no ye nya ne nsa so da na nkwara ho hia no papa se be ya nkwara benya da achepa school ahodo tete wo man yi mu se be ya obia be hu school akọ se be ya mmaa betena school dem inse se wo betena fie ni nyina ye bibia obia nya bi da na emfi omaa yi nso awiri mu etiri da
me da se ma menko wie ne ha nana wadama ye kaye mame ye betro na bakosem sen na usifa hunu no na sen so na bepese Ghana nyina beka no
yo me da se so wa mame sa kwanya we ya mame ye obatan bi a oyekukudrufo ye kan ma ya kukudrufo a ye mame edikan e wo Ghana ha ye mama te se uni adwuma kwa obefa so obekyerekere wa wobetumi aye adwuma no wagina wana so no ye mame ye sa abatan ne bi inti kakra metumi aka ne se ye mame wahaye papa
Medase. And so that's the view of a few queen mothers who are here to commiserate with their family. At the moment, we have on the floor a national Reverend Minister, the Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, who is addressing the gathered crowd here at the Rawlings residence. Very shortly, we will go close to him and perhaps find out what his knowledge about the late former president Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings is, and whether or not in any one sentence her legacy can be summed up. Still stay with us. You're watching GBC News. My name is Darrell Alantego, and we are currently at the home of the late former First Lady, Her Excellency Dr. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, who single-handedly founded the 31st December Women's Movement, and a women empowerment NGO, which indeed ensured that women no longer stayed at home as stay-at-home moms because of childbirth, but could be working and have their children brought up as well. She set up over 1,800 daycare centers across the country, especially in markets. She also empowered women to setting up small manufacturing holds or hods within small towns and villages. And this morning I engaged a woman who has traveled all the way from the Volta region, who pointed out that, in fact, the factory set up within her village to empowering women by the 31st December Women's Movement still exists and still functional. And even though not a lot is heard about the 31st December Women's Movement, they hold dear that women empowering hub, which is still there in the Volta region. While we listen to the man of God sing, let me quickly mention that not too long ago, the former president of Liberia, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, was here to sign the book of condolence. We had a few members from the majority as well as the minority groups in Parliament. Also, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, the Honorable James Agalga, so also was the Honorable Senso Boache, as well as the former Chief of Staff, Honorable Frema Osei Opari, who accompanied the former president, His Excellency Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, who was also here to commiserate to the family. Not only that, but also signed the book of condolence. Let me say also that while we were at it, the former governor of the Bank of Ghana and one-time Minister for Finance, Dr. Kwabena Dufour, was here to commiserate with the family, signed the book of condolence, and also gave a generous donation of 10,000 cedis to support the family in receiving guests. And immediately after him came.
I pray that in the course of this funeral, everything will go perfectly to your glory, and that great woman that she is will be celebrated. Your word says, if a man live for 100 years and have 100 children but dies and does not receive a befitting burial, he or she is like a stillborn baby. God, we pray that you give our mother, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, our former First Lady, a befitting burial to the glory of God. In Jesus' name, amen.
So that was Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, who has just prayed with their family, and he is currently being invited to sign the Book of Condolence, after which we will have a word or two with him.
Are yet to greet, can kindly read the family.
You're watching GBC News, and we're coming to you from the residence of the late Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, whose sad demise took place yesterday at the Ridge Hospital after a short illness. We have seen also arriving here some members of the Performing Arts Fraternity. We have also seen some government appointees who are all here to commiserate with the family. I have Honorable Rex Omar with us. I would want to go close to find out what his thoughts are as far as late mother is concerned. Thank you very much, Mr. Rex Omar. How would you say the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings can be described by Ghanaians?
In a short words, she is irreplaceable. To me, she's a mother. People don't know. It is Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings who actually engineered me leaving Kumasi to come to live in Accra. Why? Because at my younger age, 19 thereabout, I have recorded, I think 1921, I have recorded an album called Awarepa and Ebeye Year. This was the revolutionary days. And she loved those songs. And then she invited me to come to Accra. She introduced me to His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, and I became a son. So she's done so much for me, advices and guidance and all that. The last time I was with her, it was 25th August thereabout. We went to a funeral together. And then when they were taking pictures with my wife and my daughter, she said, "This is a ladies' affair, stay away."
So she kicked you out of the photograph.
And I regret that I didn't take the picture. I didn't know that was the last time I was going to meet her.
Given how far and how long you have known her, what will you say influenced her activism when it comes to all matters women?
She's passionate about this country. And Nana is, when she's doing something, she does it, she goes all out. And because of that, her fight for women was like, she wanted to see that women are empowered. Because she kept saying that when women are empowered, children grow better, So I think that is what led her founding the 31st Women. And even till her last, she's always been a women activist. And that is something that she was born with. I believe that it was a calling.
This month, October, marked 30 years since Beijing 1995, the 4th World Conference on Women and Gender Equality. She was present at that conference and she took the place by storm. Would you say, coming from that conference, she has achieved what she set out to achieve by bringing the plight of the Ghanaian woman to the global stage?
She actually achieved far much more than that. There has never been a Ghanaian woman who has done closer to what Nana has done. I mean, she set up daycare centers all over the country. She set up Gary plants. She did so much. But unfortunately, partisan politics has its own stuff. Otherwise, Nana would have been worshipped when it comes to activism, women activism, and also somebody who is passionate about the development of her country.
Finally, how should Ghanaians remember her?
Just like I said, we should remember her as a woman who gave her all to her people.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Rexomar. That is Mr. Rexomar, who also has just shared his views and his thoughts about the former First Lady. We're still at the residence of the former First Lady, Her Excellency Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And we will want to go close to Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete to find out what he also can share with us about the former First Lady. Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, condolences to all of us.
That's right. Thank you.
This month, October, marks 30 years since the 4th Women Conference in Beijing, which she took by storm. First of all, would you say by her activism, she has changed the conversation when it comes to all matters women in this country?
I think it goes without saying that First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings made a big statement for Ghana. She approached her leadership and her responsibility in a different style. Even the way she dressed, the way she spoke. Don't forget that she has a flair. To have come from the Ashanti royal family and also was privileged to have gone to Ashmolean School. So she had the privilege of being an elite and also the privilege of coming from a royal family. And then, of course, we all realized how 79, President John Rawlings became the leader. And then moving on from that time until the Fourth Republic, we know what role she played.
Do you agree with those who argue that perhaps President Rawlings late would have been more radical, but for Nana's intervention and modeling him in that the statement will be true that behind every successful man is a woman?
I think it is clear that President Rawlings loved his wife. They gel. They have something in common that nobody can. Look at them. If you look at them, there are two personalities. She said something to me in this house when President Rawlings died, that she didn't understand President Rawlings until after some time she realized that they are two different beings. And that reminds me of my own wife, Barbara. We're two different people. And so they gel, they understand them. There was something that drew them together. And that was what made the difference. And of course, everybody knows Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings and President Rawlings. You see them dance together. You can see one was dancing offbeat, and the other one is dancing to the tune of the music. And some of these things are sentiments that will be in the fond memory of every Ghanaian. I stand here today, emotionally, it's a painful thing, but I also want to thank God for her life. And as I said to her, the children, God played it in such a way that she didn't have to be bedridden for a long time. She didn't have to be sick for people to be turning her around. God just made her come in peace. And I think we thank God for her life. And I also want to say that Ghanaians should be very mindful in times like this what kind of comments we make. We are seemingly becoming very insensitive people. And in people's funeral, people's death, people's pain, people's calamity, we want to prove a point. I want to urge everybody who claimed they saw anything or might have been seeing something or we have seen something to be very mindful that we don't take people's death for granted. So do I also want to wish all politicians that we should not politicize this thing. Let us be sensitive, let us be decorum, and let us be mindful that families are grieving, that Agyeman family is grieving, the Rawlings family is grieving, the entire nation is grieving. Let us not politicize this death. Let us give this woman a peaceful and a safe passage as we thank God for her burial and the funeral.
Prior to 1995, where she made that resounding woman statement, how will you describe the Ghanaian scene, especially when it comes to women?
I think today we are seeing Ghanaian women soar to places that under normal circumstances wouldn't have happened. We have a sitting vice president today who is a lady, a woman. We have a sitting Secretary General of the Commonwealth Secretariat in the UK, who is a Ghanaian woman. We have a sitting deputy director or deputy head of UN sitting in Tripoli, who is a Ghanaian woman. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of women in the diaspora. My sister Lady Gifty is head of chambers in Middle Temple. She is a woman. Lady Gifty is the second after me. And so God is using people. And I must say that people like Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings were some of the few people that opened the doors for women to know that it is possible for you to get to higher heights.
Do you think her being a Ghanaian woman has really been celebrated by the Ghanaian woman?
I think, yes, she's been celebrated, but it's not enough. We still have room for improvement. The problem we have with Ghanaians is that we don't celebrate you until you die. And when we die, we give meaningless tributes and we exaggerate the tribute. But it is very important to celebrate people whilst they are alive and to wait for them to be dead and gone before we give vain tributes. I know a lot of people will be pouring in this house to be giving their tributes and to be showing their solidarity, but we should have done that when she was alive. Everybody needs attention. And I want to caution that as a nation, we should learn to celebrate people whilst they are alive than to wait for them to die before we show them how much we love them.
Finally, what would be your most notable memory of the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings?
Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings was a mother. For some of us, she related to us like friends. I mean, what excitement it is that I want to dance in a program. And you say, Lawrence, I'm dancing with you. Wow. And the steps that she puts together, you go back home with an excitement that, hey, I danced with the First Lady. Sometimes, I remember she signed my book. And the signature, if you look at Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings' handwriting, it's a very unique handwriting. And I still have it. So I have pictures with her where she was signing my book and I was endorsing her book. And so this relationship for me, I cannot forget.
Thank you very much. That's the Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tata, who's expressed some profound memories and how Ghanaians should mourn the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. Instead of recounting all the negative memories, it would profoundly help the entire nation if we keep to what she has been for us.
Reverend Dr. Solomon Naughty.
Right. Let's bring Reverend Naughty on. Reverend Naughty, a quick one. A condolence to all of us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What would be your most notable memory of the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings?
Well, the 31st December Women's Movement was at the time when they were working. I was privileged to be at some of their sessions, and I saw the love and the care they gave to the despondent, they gave to the destitute, and people who were going through all kinds of challenges. You could see hearts at work. And I think God used her to bless this nation. And we thank God for her life.
How will you describe in a few words her role as a woman's advocate?
Well, I think she was a peace setter. And so she charted a path that has become a blessing for what women have become today in manifesting the gifts that the Lord is giving to them.
Thank you very much, Reverend Naughty, and thank you very much. I definitely can't let Lady Gifty go away, especially being...
from the UK.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Lady Gifty has come all the way from the UK. She's head of chambers. And
Lady Gifty's chambers, right. That's Amina Rawlings, served in her privilege. She's the head of the chambers.
Fantastic. It is then proper for me to emphasize our condolence.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, the whole of Ghana, I'm sure, is mourning. It was so sudden that we haven't come to terms with it. But knowing the woman that she was, I know she's still forging on to meet her maker. So we take condolence in that.
Right. Thank you very much. You're watching GBC News. We're coming to you live from the residence of the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. In short, the Rawlings' residence. And out here this afternoon, you have different caliber of mourners here to express or to commiserate with their family. And we're talking to Lady Gifty, who's come all the way from the UK to commiserate with their family. But I would like to pick her thoughts. We're looking back the late 1970s and the early 1980s when Nana Konadu burst onto the political, then revolutionary scene. How would you describe her appearance on the scene and the role she played?
For some of us, we were young women, and it was such a surreal moment for us to see a woman. All you've known growing up is seeing men holding the fort, men in the forefront. To see a woman come up, you queue up on the television just to watch her come up. And I got to know her personally as well, obviously through my brother and her daughter, and I realized she was such a wonderful, wonderful woman. And you don't need to have known her for long to feel welcome when she's around you. And I've been to this house myself once, and it was just amazing. We met in London as well, and it pains me to think that such a wonderful woman and a resilient woman is no more here. You know, I mean, for some of us, we've looked up to her, we've learned a lot of things from her resilience, her powerfulness, and everything she does. So we would forge on with that, but it would have been good if we had her longer.
If the girl child story is to be written in Ghana and the matter of education is to be mentioned, will you say Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings didn't just hold the door open? She ensured it remained permanently open for the girl?
Absolutely, absolutely. That and more. And it's not just in terms of education, but in terms of making you know you can do anything you put your mind to. Education is just one part of it. But can you run a business? Are you an entrepreneur? Can you manage a home, children, business, and everything else? And she made all of that so easy for us to envisage. And then truly we walked into it and we're experiencing and enjoying it now. So she did more than just the education. But if we have to evaluate the education to the forefront, yes, she's number one, I would say. And not just Ghana, I would say Africa. I'd be daring not to say Africa.
If we consider the number of women who hold certain high-profile, high-ranking positions in Ghana, starting from our current sitting vice president, will you say her activism may have influenced this passion and desire for women to be heard?
Absolutely. From the 31st women to all the other women's. I mean, you referenced Beijing when you spoke to Dr. Tete. From that place on, everything else, it was just an open door for women for as long as you wished. And even in cases that you felt like I was too timid, I couldn't do, she made you feel like you can do anything. So yes, of course.
Let me perhaps say this will be my final question to you, and that will be her legacy. How would you say the government of Ghana act to protect her legacy?
Oh, there are so many things we can do to protect her legacy. I mean, we only have to look at the work she has done to date. That is living on. It's lived on till now. We know how long she's been our first lady. This is the only time it's happening. It would not happen again, obviously, because of our constitution. So we need to draw on all the experiences we've gained from her, and we need to forge on. And we need to do more. Let every girl child growing up, born and unborn, know that there was once a woman, Her Excellency, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, once lived, and she paved the way for people like any ordinary girl child.
Thank you so very much, and that is the view of Lady Gifty, who's expressed some profound, made some profound comments, which for me would have to be written down and be studied. Indeed, the whole country will have to come together to preserve the legacy of the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. But Reverend Dr. Tete, I'll give you the final word.
I want to clarify that Lady Gifty is my younger sister. She's a third after me. So we are one mother, one father. We come from the same home. That come from the same womb. Our father was S.K. Tete of blessed memory. And our mother, who is alive now, Auntie Julie, is Mrs. Tete. So she's my sister. Sometimes she stands in the place and people think she's my wife. She's my sister.
Thank you very much. And that is the Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete speaking to us from the home of the late Mrs. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. You're watching GBC News, and we're coming to you live from the home of the Rawlingses, where mourners and family alike are currently here seated. And let me quickly go and speak to Daddy. Would you please mention your name for us?
I'm Adodo Alfredo Mensah Kantamaklu, former national president, National Union of Ghana Students.
Wonderful.
Also my national executive.
Wonderful. What would be your most notable memory of the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings?
She's a very strong, valid woman. And when I was taken to Parliament by the MPs for asking them to declare their assets. They were all there with me.
How would you say Ghanaians should remember the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings?
Nana Konadu is somebody who was with us right from the one, this thing, what's the name, with all the people in Ghana, with then the father sent for me. I went to see the father, and everything is fine. She is the leader of Ghanaian women. Yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking to us at GBC News. And so we're coming to you live from the residence of the late Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. We have officials from government as well as members of parliament all here present to commiserate with their family. What's happening? She sent an iMessage. Yes, ma'am.
After interview, we have to reserve it for